Hello, everybody. Welcome to this, late afternoon, mid to late afternoon live stream between myself and Mark about his upcoming 7-11 tactical course. Mark, thanks for joining us again. Thanks for popping in on the show.
Good to see you again.
Same. How are you doing?
We're going well, pushing hard, keeping up with training, and keeping things steady and going. Excited for the new year. It's been an up and down for everyone, so we hope to end it strong.
Yeah, no, it's definitely been a major up and down for everybody, but it's good to see Mr. Punisher and Brian in the comments section and a whole bunch of other people tuned in. So awesome stuff. Mark, without needing to get excessively bogged down in introductions, give us a bit of an overview about the course. Where's it going to be from when? Well, from the 7th to the 11th of December as the name, but
right.
Where's it going to be? What's it going to involve, and who's it for?
Well, I think the name 7-11, we're looking at a name for it. It just ran from the 7th to the 11th, so it sounded like a good thing to do. It will be held at False Bay Gun Club, and it's really focused on a combination of firearms, but really, if you, for lack of a better word, an operator, but that applies to a armed civilian. We're looking at security and guys that are in law enforcement, people that would end up in a scene, they would arrive there first before tactical teams and those sort of things arrive. And we, in a large part of that, we're looking at mass shooter events and determining why you're there. Is this actually a mass shooter event in a terror objective, or is it a criminal approach that we're dealing with? And there's two very different reactions we want on that.
Yeah. And as you said, look, it's targeted very much towards law enforcement and this sort of thing. But there's also, from what we spoke about, there's very much a benefit for the average civilian with pertaining to the skill set and the knowledge base. Not necessarily to go in and intervene, because that's something we almost always recommend against, unless there's a very, very good reason. But it's stuff that for the average person to be empowered, or with the knowledge and the skills to be able to assess correctly and then react correctly and do what needs to be done, I don't think that's something that's bad, to be honest.
No, it's definitely it's about a decision-making process when you're there. And if you're law enforcement security, your almost mandate is to stay and deal with it. In theory, sometimes they run away as well. But as a private citizen, we've actually used the Kenya Mall attack as a baseline sort of thing there. And we know of people and friends that were there during that event. And one person we dealt with, he was there with his family when the event kicked off, got his family out, and ended up staying in the mall for the rest of the siege. So you never know how it goes. He was in his civilian capacity, even though he's in the security industry, and that kept him going for a while, and they made a big difference. They got a lot of people out of one side. So first of all, his first priority was to save his family, and once he did that, he made a decision to stay and assist. Now, that's not always what every civilian is going to decide.
No, obviously. And I believe some of the Kenyan guys are actually joining us on this course as well.
We definitely have a couple of the Kenyan guys there, so that's going to be quite exciting. Some of them have first-hand experience in these sort of things, but also they're always looking at skilling up and training. And a large part of this course is dealing with a solo or two-man teams, if you want to call it teams, or people, buddy teams, being together. If an event happens, you're having coffee somewhere and something goes wrong, the decision-making process linked to that, and then obviously the skill sets that go with that.
Okay, that sounds, we're going to get more in depth pertaining to individual aspects of the course in a moment. Brian actually asks a pretty good question. The tactical difference in reaction to a criminal event vis-a-vis a terror event, Mark?
Brian, I think that's the crux of the story on that, on your reaction. In a criminal event, the criminal's objective is often very different. They may create some mayhem. They may commit violence, but their objective is to come out alive the other side, get what they want, and leave. In a terror event, their objective is to cause as much chaos, pain, and damage as possible in the shortest possible of time. So in a criminal event, actually intervening may keep those guys there when you'd actually like them to leave. So by responding and getting involved in a gunfight, you're actually putting more people at risk. Whereas in a terror event, if you don't do something, you're going to end up letting them carry on for a longer period of time. And most of the killings and most of the damage happens in the very first part of attack. And I think Brian will be very aware of that as well. So that's a very, very good question, Brian.
So interestingly, so there's some very talented and skilled people on this course who may or may not want to be identified. I see it personally as a really good opportunity to learn from people that have actually walked certain roads, that have done and achieved certain things under very adverse circumstances. And it would be, I think for me alone, it's well worth learning from these types of individuals, from these people that have been there and done that. We had a long conversation. It's nice that Brian's actually in the comment section, because we had a long talk years ago already, where he was pretty much convinced that South Africa was overdue a type of terror-related incident pertaining to the internal dynamics that we have. Now, the Yanks have got active shooters, although that is not really an American-only phenomenon. You get active shooter incidents all over the world. I mean, what happened in Vienna just a week or two ago is effectively an active shooter incident that was terror attack. Well, it was a terrorist attack by an active shooter, if we want to call them that. I think that these sorts of knowledge and skills is becoming more and more relevant and valuable. What exactly is the core structure going to be, Mark? What are the guys what are you gonna do to us? Let me ask you that question. What horrible pain and suffering are you going to be putting us through?
That's always the question. I think the first thing is recognizing that this is a piece of the decision-making process and a piece of the skill that's necessary. There's a lot more to it. Obviously, there's medical, there's recognition skills that we won't go into. We'll get into understanding terror and criminal attacks, but we're not going to delve into that. We're not going to get into high-end communications or communicating with the first responders as they arrive on this particular course. We're actually going to focus on the fire and movement part of it, shoot, no shoot, decision making, shooting in between crowds, people coming towards you. All right, we won't risk you with live rounds there. I'll explain in a moment how we're going to run the force on force exercises there. We've got some exciting stuff happening, and then moving and decision making and clearing with people, with a small team, or if you bump into someone, if you and I ended up in a place here and we're having coffee, we both kind of have some sort of skill and how we could work together to make a difference in a situation like that. So, every skill will be done in a dry fire format. Once the understanding's there, we'll do a theory so everybody understands the context. Next, we'll focus on dry fire. And once we've done the dry fire, we're going to be running force on force. And then, obviously, live fire exercises, we're building the safeties. So we can effectively do that on the range without compromising any safety. But one of the things it's often considered, let me just grab it out here. It's considered, sometimes people consider it a self-defense tool with that, but we have a very nice sponsor, if you would put it that way. And these are the burner guns. They are sponsoring us, helmets, and these for force on force, and this will be the first time they're going to be used effectively. It allows the magazine changes. It allows us to run these against each other. A lot of my courses is only one way, where I get to shoot at you with the paintball. In this course, participants get to shoot back, and it hits pretty hard. So you spoke a little bit pain. We'll have all the face gear and all those sort of things on, but. I'm
a little concerned. Am I supposed to get a ball box for this as well? Because that looks potentially very, 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 very sore. I mean, those aren't tiny muzzle velocities on those things.
Yeah, I will pad up.
Okay, but that's actually very exciting, because I have never done force on force pertaining to. I mean, I've done combatives with Arno, I've done stuff with you, I've been smacked around, I've been shot at by paintball guns, but never like the guys in the States do their force on force training, where they actually have a type of what do you call it, adapter or mechanism that allows them to do that. So the burners should be very, very interesting, actually, indeed.
Yeah, it's a vehicle for us. Years ago, we used to do a lot of two-way force on force. Then it narrowed down to one-way force on force, and a lot of that is the tools and the costing. So things like airsoft, I've probably got 12 broken airsofts in my roof, in my storage space there, because we ran them. It doesn't give you the positive hits. It's a very nice tool, but they require a lot of maintenance. And then ammunition, and that is just costed out of the ballpark. So we see this as a very nice new option to go in and really go back to where we were pushing the force on force and not one way, back in the South African environment as well.
Yeah, I was about to say the costs of simunition was sitting at what? It's quite extensive. If you can find it.
There's a lot of equipment, and there's limitations for civilian use as well, and costing in the South African environment. So we see this as a great opportunity to put this to the test again. We've been playing with it, so we're getting ready for you guys. We're going to have a lot of fun. But the objective, as you know, sometimes people get hit and a little bruise and stuff. The objective is, if you do it right, you don't get hit. It's not to get hit.
Yeah.
And really
ideally
understand what it feels like. Yeah, it lets you feel what it's like to be forward of a firearm with something coming towards you without the risk of live fire drills.
Yeah, no, and that's part of it, as well as if you do get hit, to carry on fighting through the discomfort and the pain.
Very much so.
So it's 5 days. This course is 5 days and 2 nights. You don't let us sleep either. There are 2 night elements involved in this as well.
Well.
And you've secured some interesting venues.
It's no, we're going to be stuck at False Bay, but we are looking at getting a building venue, but we've got a very nice setups, and we've designed nice fire and movement sections over there. So that's going to be fun. 5 days and 2 nights. Well, the days really travel into nights in winter in Cape Town. So let's call it 5 days and 1 night, where we're going to have an evening shoot. We will go pretty late. One of the things, we got a very good guest speaker coming in on one of the evenings in between, and that will be Chris Craylan. And he's an ex-Special Forces operator. I think some of the guys know him. He's been an intelligence operator, been involved in the field, and he will also be giving us a little context on the terror threat coming down, and the criminal threat, the way crime is evolving in the SADC region. So just from an operator's point of view, really understanding that. So we've gone the extra mile as far as getting quality people besides us in there, getting some information out to the guys and letting them really understand the scenarios.
And that's it. It's building knowledge, skills, and developing attitude, and that's part and parcel of what this is. Now, you've already gotten a fair amount of bookings on this. You'd like to get some more, and it's also part of this. This is to speak to people and say, look, if you're not a tactical operator, look, if you are law enforcement or military or a contractor of any sort, this is useful and beneficial to you. It aligns with your existing skill set, correct?
Yeah, the way I look at it is, it definitely doesn't exclude civilians, and it includes civilians. The concept is first on scene, the shooter, and who's there first? The security guard's there first. The lone policeman's there first, and it's kind of thinking along the American lines of who's first on scene, and do you do something?
Well, if you're a civilian,
till the real tactical guys get there. And as a civilian, you may be there with your wife. So one of the focuses is, I'm there with my wife and kid. How do I start making a difference? How do I get out of here? Do I shoot? Don't I shoot? What happens if I don't shoot when they're coming down? What happens if I do? And those are important decision-making processes as a civilian. And then they link over into, yes, I'm on duty now, and I've arrived at the scene, and here I am by myself with you should have at least 2 spare mags and a pistol and a tourniquet. That's you, and you got to get started.
Yeah. And figure out what is the best course of action pertaining to what you're dealing with in that on that particular day, and that's why I'm very much looking forward to it. It's going to be so. Just to put it into perspective, it's 5 days. It's 5 days, 1 night. How many rounds of ammunition do you reckon we're going to go through? Roughly,
you should shoot about 650 rounds. You can always go crazy and shoot more, but if you work that on a daily basis, that's not a lot of rounds a day, but it's a fair amount for a course. Especially in the South African environment now, where ammo is difficult to get hold of,
and expensive.
We scramble, and expensive. It's always the more you can shoot, the better. But plenty of it's done dry. We mitigate that by doing a lot of dry fire exercises, and then also doing a lot of dry fire exercises. And a big part of the training, we're going to be clearing houses, we're going to be working through crowds, we're going to be doing hostage shoots, and a big part of that is embedding the safety in there. So we've got to do those dry fires. So by the time we start running corners, we're not iffy when someone stands next to you with a firearm going around the corner, which we see that done semi well. The guys do a 1-day course, and next thing they're out there running and gunning. It's without the safeties built in.
Yeah, and that's the thing with pretty much most of your courses. A huge element of it is dry fire work, because of constraints on stuff like ammunition availability, cost, as well as the fact that you can do and achieve a hell of a lot with the dry fire practice, that you don't need to waste ammunition on it until you get to, going hot and doing the live fire exercises. 5 days of this is going to hurt, though, because this is also the thing about Mark's courses is they're not half-assed. You don't do stuff. You're not there to make people feel comfortable. You're not there to make them feel good about themselves. You're there to teach, and teach difficult stuff to people who are hopefully receptive to learning.
Yeah, Gideon, I think that's, you kind of hit the nail on the head in one way, but the objective is never to risk injury or instill pain. But
obviously,
if you haven't done it under stress and you don't know what it feels like, it's all theory. And we want to get as close to practice as we can without risk of injury. And that is the thought process in the training process. So, you can see we could do a special forces training thing where the guys are used to each other all the time, and we could fire live rounds at balloons next to each other's head. But, those risks are not risks that we can take on a public course. Those risks are not risks that are worth doing if we've got the force and force tools. And it sounds like 5 days is a lot of time, but for what we're doing and the skill set you're doing, we're actually cramming a hell of a lot in.
Yeah.
And it's only a segment of the first on scene shooter type scenario.
Yeah. I can well imagine you could run a course like this over a period of 4 weeks, pertaining to the course material and the subject matter that you're trying to do. So 5 days is heavy going. It would be great if we had the time and the finances to do a 4-week course, but I think unless you are in an industry where those costs are covered and that's something that you work in as a civvy, this is good knowledge, and it's going to be well worth your time and your money, even though it is not a cheap course. It's not, if you break the cost down per day, it's actually not atrociously expensive either.
Comparatively overseas, if we ran this course overseas, it's comparatively free. What you would be paying for 1 day's training over there, we're doing for a week. And part of the reason is because we're doing it in this format, as an open format to different people coming in, we decided to make it cost effective, partially because we got all our force and force stuff supplied to us by the guys over from Burner. So that's really great. That cuts our costs massively. And we probably won't be able to run it at this rate again in the future. As far as we could run it for 12 weeks, well, you could, or we've decided to modularize it. Let's get this piece of it down. It's a very important piece down. And then anyone who's been like on the plug and press or fighting injured course, that would be another module that you could easily slot in with this. So it's a good call from your short shooting skills, moving and decision making. All the other skills that would normally go in this course as you learn them in life or you learn something else, you can slot them in to start working from, or whoever you are.
So, sorry, Mark, I just lost you there for a brief moment, but I think all of your stuff came through. Brian McAllister making some really good comments in the comment section. I'll get to them in a moment. Stephen Noons just asks, in terms of skill needed to attend as a civilian, is being a proficient shooter okay?
Yeah, if you've done your competency and you're on the range every now and again, particularly our first day, we're going to be running basically dry fire and safety, so we can run further than that. Normally, when we would run this course, if we ran this for an organization or a corporate, the entry level would be we'd have an entry level shoot, but we're going to take care of that the first day because we understand we can have people of different skill levels, and all that means to us is that we're going to spend a little bit more time on the dry fire skills and embedding the safeties and making sure everybody gets it done. So as long as you've been on the range a little bit, been shooting regularly, sport shooting, there's some adaptations to be made, but sport shooters have good handling skills. If you've got that sort of level shooting, or you're in the field and you've got a good competency level, link in.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. And Brian McAllister says very keen to attend, and he will see if a couple of consultants are keen to attend as well. So that's awesome, Brian. It would be great to meet you in the flesh, sir, unless I already have in my Swiss cheese brain has just forgotten the encounter, which is likely or unlikely. And Mandy makes a good point. She sees training's priceless, but times are tough, and that's it. However, fortunately, Mark's not. You've got other courses. You've got the Rusty Gunman. You've got the Plug and Press. You've got the Fighting Injured. You've got the Fighting in around vehicles, Fighting in around buildings. You've got a great many shorter, more affordable courses that are also, if you string them together, as you said, they form such a valuable knowledge base. You really don't, if you simply cannot afford, and I think you understand this, and this is also why there are limited slots available on this course. If you can't afford to attend a week-long course, there are shorter ones that will most certainly add valuable stuff to your skill sets as well. Would you do additional modules after this one and say, okay, you've covered this, you would like to do another weeks of training at some other point for those who attended this one or attended a few of these ones that you do, and then build on it, in another way?
A little background on the original design of this course. We were asked to develop a 15-day course for a specific unit, and we did all the work on it. And then because of logistics and change of managers and stuff, it didn't happen. And this is one of the modules, and this is the core module as far as your firearm skills are linked in there. And all the other stuff that can link in is pretty easy to link in: your first aid, your communications, your if you talk about basic little bit of surveillance skills and those sort of things, if you've got that from another industry, it'll slot in very easy. And from other courses, we can formalize those as well. And you move out to vehicles or whatever. It's a good baseline. And you were mentioning shorter courses, Gideon. On that, for example, the end of the month, my wife runs a Rusty Gunman at False Bay. I think that one for Christmas is running at $770, very affordable. Get your basic handling skills in there. And through the lockdown, we ran those lockdown courses. I think you were on one or two of them.
Yeah, I think I attended one. I can't remember which one it was.
I think the low light, yeah.
So, and they're well worth it. They are well worth it. I would like to do some more shotgun and carbine stuff with you at some point, but we'll talk. There was something else, something very pertinent I wanted to ask you. Oh, yes. So the International Anti-Terrorism Professionals Association, IATPA, or however you pronounce them.
Yeah.
Give us a bit of background. Who are they? What do they do? Where do they come from?
They're an organization that we link to through the Southeast Asian guys through Malaysia. They've taken a few of the old parastatal stuff, they've reformatted, and they're actually officially launching their websites and stuff in 1st of January. But we're one of their first courses. We're very proud. We've worked with them in the past, and we've done presentations at the universities in Malaysia, sat there, and my PowerPoint went down computer updating. But so that's how we met them. They've formatted into that organization. They linked as an international to other international organizations, and we're very nice that they've been on big parts of our training, and they were happy to recognize this course and allow us to use their logo on the course. And we'll probably be running something similar in other parts of the world in the near future again, as soon as the COVID stuff.
Excellent. And if you wanted to pay an additional fee, you can actually get your IATPA attendance certificate, or what's the thing
we're going to we'll include that in the course.
Oh, it's included. Yeah. Okay, cool. So that's included, 100%. So what we've got firearm handling stuff. We've got a whole bunch of knowledge-related lecturing and skills and knowledge development happening. We've got some low light stuff by the sounds of it, and we've got some force on force, but like really proper force on force, as well as navigating crowds and other situations. It sounds like it's from the course description, it's 5 very full days, and it's a lot to take in.
Yeah, it is. But we formatted it so when the guys go home, they'll have everything done. We're not going to rush it. Like I said, everything will be done in all 3 formats: your dry fire, your theory, your force on force, and then if you want to call it the 4th format, your live fire. But one of the biggest things is moving with a partner, or even moving with an unarmed person who you're protecting, a daughter, or someone that you've picked up at the mall or whatever that's run towards you, and now you have to deal with them. So we'll be moving with that. And clearing spaces is a very important thing. Not in the difference is, this is the link between tactical and solo clearing. So there's a big difference between having a tactical team with all your vests, your gears, and your stun grenades over here. Our focus and the concepts are quite different, not quite different, but have a different approach when you're running alone, or there's exactly 2 of you and someone's shooting at you at AK and you got your pop gun.
Exactly.
So there's going to be a lot of time spent on, do you enter a space? Don't you enter a space? Why would you enter a space normally? And if you have to, how do you go about it? And those are big decision makings, whether you're deciding to stay and fight, to escape and evade, whatever it is. You have to have those decision makings, and then you have to have the skill set, like I said, from an individual who's not just moving forward and clearing by momentum like a good tactical team would always be doing.
Mark, that sounds like valuable stuff. You know me, I'm a true believer in this, and I know the quality of your courses and its content. So I'm not even someone that needs to be convinced. So if you're happy with it, we're coming up the half an hour mark. I think we've covered pretty much it. I'll do an executive summary for everybody quickly, and then you can tell me if I get anything wrong. So it's Mark's 7-11 Tactical Lockdown course. It runs from the 7th to the 11th of December at False Bay Sports Shooting Club in Fisher, Cape Town. It's 5 days and 1 or 2 nights worth of training. There'll be gun handling involved. There will be a lot of theory pertaining to civilians and security moving through these dynamic environments where there may be criminal or terrorist incidents or active shooters in a variety of locations, how to navigate crowds, how to navigate yourself, the people you're with through the situation, how to make the decisions pertaining to the information you have available and can otherwise acquire. There will be a lot of force on force work. I don't know if I covered that already. And in general, for the South African civilian, security professional, contractor, operator, law enforcement, whomever you are, this is a valuable condensed knowledge course over 5 days that can most certainly save your life, save the life of other people, help you make better decisions, help you shoot better, move better, think better, decide better. And for me personally, it makes sense. And I think in the environment we're living today, with the trends in violent crime and interpersonal violence, it's becoming certainly more and more relevant. Anything from a mall robbery to a terrorist attack, this is what applies. Mark, is there anything I missed in that?
That's perfect, Gideon. I think something you kind of allude to, and obviously from your point of view, everything we work as law-abiding citizens, and we're trying to work within the mandate of of the law to make sure that we're not going and doing stupid shit that we get into trouble for nothing. The more responsible gun owners there that can make decent decisions out there on their safety, the better it is. So often I say the more informed you are, the less likely you are you're going to end up in a shooting.
Exactly.
So the legal context are legal and mandate context, and then decision, will I, won't I, is always linked into that, the moral decision making as well.
Fantastic. That's a beautiful summary of our attitude and how shall we put, philosophical approach to what you do. And I dig it. And Brian, it will be great to see you there. It would be an absolute pleasure. I very much look forward to it. And I very much look forward to learning from the people on there, because I'm a complete layperson. So I can shoot kind of straight, and I'll avoid shooting myself in the foot. But I think I personally see a huge amount of value in this. And thank you for actually inviting me to come play with you guys and learn with you guys and get shot by you guys in that week of December, Mark.
No, that'll be great. I think for the guys that if they want to look at the booking, they can either go onto the Multidimensional Warrior Facebook page, find the events, and go to the link. It'll link you to Tactical Balance. Or if the guys want to WhatsApp me, I'm not scared of putting my phone out there. Just don't prank call me at 3 in the morning too often. But my cell number 082-559-8319. You're welcome to WhatsApp me there.
And you can find Mark's stuff through Tactical Balance or Multidimensional Warrior /MDW. It's very heavily advertised on the MDW Facebook page. You can find links to the event there and how to book via Tactical Balance and anywhere else. So easy process, totally above board, not an issue. Mark, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to chat to us and everyone else. I hope we convinced a couple of people additional to come. I think we should just advertise. We should really.
Courses we obviously have a limited number of people. Sorry, Gideon, but when you get to shooting in crowds, it's kind of like the more the merrier. Especially if but we do limit your ammo. So
yeah, I was about to say, like, you should really just have advertised this as come shoot Gideon with a burner. And you probably would have a long queue of people who just love to do that, and they'd pay you.
Well, why don't we do a Friday night fundraiser? Why don't we do a Friday night fundraiser at the end of the event?
Well, we could talk. We could talk. Like, am I putting my body on the line for this? Probably. Oh, geez, like.
Awesome, Gideon. Thank you so much for the time, and I'm looking forward to seeing you there. And anyone else. We still got a few spots, so that would be great. Contact us and see you soon.
Absolutely, guys. Get your booking in. See you there. Thanks for your time, Mark. And to everyone that tuned in, awesome stuff. I hope this answered some of your questions. And see you all on Friday for Whiskey Friday. Have a lekker afternoon. Cheers and